Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another 40k video from Major Kill. And the topic for today's video is, can the Tyranids actually be defeated? So, I'm guessing by defeated, does he mean like completely wiped out? There's no more Tyranid race. The Tyranid race is completely gone, because obviously Tyranids have been defeated. So I'm guessing maybe that's what he meant, just completely wiped out. I don't know what the scenario is. You know, what's his little scenario gonna be? Are we talking completely wiping out whatever it is in the current solar system right now? Because, you know, there are theories, I guess, of there is way more Tyranids that are still out there that could be heading this way as we speak. You know, don't know. If that is the case, no, I don't think they could. I do not think Tyranids could be completely wiped out if that is the case, if there is a much larger Tyranid force still out there and heading this way. Because right now they say what? There is currently as many Tyranids as there is orcs. And there's a lot of orcs. That's a lot of Tyranids. That's just currently in the solar system now. So just imagine what else is still out there. How many could still be out there? And even then, if that force was to arrive into the solar system, I don't think they could. I don't think the Imperium could do it. At least not alone. I mean, if I was to go into deep details, if we knew that the Tyranid army, like whatever the hell is out there, arrived, immediately recall everything. Whatever planet you're on, immediately recall back to Terra. Final stand. Because what are you going to do? You know, if you got a force on this planet here, well, what if the Tyranid army just starts to swarm with the whole... Oh, wow, my camera definitely went out. You know, with the whole army, just went from planet to planet to planet with the full army. They would, you know, they would have no chance. They'd just be completely wiped out, you know? So yeah, I mean, I would immediately recall all forces back to Terra. Final stand right there. Obviously to Mars too. Gotta protect Mars. So yeah, maybe split between Terra and Mars. You know, gotta make sure, you know, we continue to get weapons and ammo and all that stuff there. That's pretty important. But yeah, a final stand in Terra, and even then, I don't think the Imperium would be able to handle that, at least not alone. I think alliances would need to try to be made. I mean, if they can, you know, set aside their hatred for Xenos races. I mean, yes, there have been moments in 40k where, you know, there have been some alliances, some ceasefires and stuff like that, maybe not directly or maybe indirectly, you know, oh, we're fighting against Eldar, but all of a sudden a massive army of orcs showed up, you know. All right, well, now let's take out the orcs, because obviously they're a bigger threat. They're going to come out and kill both of us, you know. I don't know. I think they would have to try to make some sort of alliances to be like, hey, we got to work together because they are such a massive threat. What choice do we have? You know, I don't know. You know, this is just me just going into deep details. I did hear in another video, I can't remember if it's true or not, whose video it was, or what the video was about, but I thought there was, if Terra was ever in dire need, that I can't remember if it was the Eldar or a craft world would come to their aid and help defend them. I don't know if that's true, if it was the entire Eldar race or a certain craft world or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that would make sense, you know, especially from Eldar's point of view. You know, if you kind of think about it, hey, the Imperium probably has the biggest fighting force currently. How many planets are they on right now, holding back all these different armies? You know, let's say they're on 3 different planets, holding back Orcs, Chaos, and Dark Eldar, you know, on these 3 planets here. Well, now if the Imperium goes away, who's holding back those armies now? No one. Who's there to intercept their fleets? Well, not the Imperium. Tau, you know, maybe, yeah, they'll go against each other. But there's no one there to intercept their fleets. There's no one there to stop those, you know, stop them from taking over those planets. The Imperium's gone, you know, so they have free roam. What's to stop them from going after Eldar? Can Eldar handle, you know, an entire Orc army going after them? And maybe even Dark Eldar going after them? Or Chaos? You kind of need the Imperium there to hold back a lot of these armies, you know? So, I don't know. I mean, if they could somehow set aside their hatred, and if they could ever work together, Imperium, Eldar, Tau, Necrons, you know, with a couple of them, all of them, maybe they could make a stand against the Tyranids. I mean, if they try to do it alone, you know, each race tries to deal with it themselves. I don't know. I just kind of keep thinking of in fantasy. Well, I mean, it doesn't exist anymore. They kind of retconned it, but the Storm of Chaos. You know, when all the Chaos armies, all the Chaos gods came behind Archaon, and he went forth and just started to conquer the map. You know, the good side, you know, the Empire, the Dwarves, the High Elves, the Lizard Men, the Wood Elves, you know, all those good races, you know, all came together to, you know, fight against, obviously, you know, Chaos wasn't just Chaos, you know, Skaven was on their side, vampire counts were on their side and stuff like that. But, you know, they made an alliance and, you know, held them off. Something like that would have to be done in 40k. But anyways, that's enough talking for me. Let's jump into the video and see what Major Kill says. Here we go.
G'day guys and gal. There's a bit of a doom and gloom theory in Warhammer 40k that nothing really matters, as when the main Tyranid force arrives, everyone is doomed.
Right.
But the current devastating Tyranid incursion's just been the fingertip of the true might of the Nids.
Okay,
so it's
yep.
kind of like everyone is screwed, and the Tyranids
So like a
will
scouting
eventually
force.
win. But is that actually true? Or could the Tyranids be defeated even if the main force was actually real and did arrive? Before we get started, I have something as equally awesome as it is terrifying to show you, as we are releasing a brand new major mini, the Xenonid Black Terror. This monster towers above the battlefield, known to burrow underground before emerging and shredding the tits out of you. The detail of this model is insane.
That's pretty badass, not gonna lie.
It's pretty big boy, so the details are clear and visible.
That is awesome.
This expands the existing Xenonid range, which already features the Xenonid Raptors, the Xenonid Warriors, the Tyrant Queen, as well as the Xenonid Parasite. As such, I've also added it all into a new value bundle you can get, which features the entire Xenonid range.
Queen
and
is actually pretty badass.
20 Raptors, 6 Warriors, the Queen, Parasite, and now the Terror. So 20
But yeah, so what is currently in the solar system right now could just be like a scouting army.
So go to majorminis.com.au to pick
checking
up
things
Terror,
out,
the
you know.
Xenonid bundle, or any of the other major minis, like Ra, the King of Shark Daddy, and so on. Today we'll analyze all potential involved solutions to the Tyranid problem, checking out weapons, technologies, and strategies that could permanently defeat the Nids, even if the theory regarding the true scale of the invasion is true. Let's get into it.
Okay, so as of right now, that is a Tyranid
A
army
really
out
big
there.
problem with the Nids is that the galaxy can't just trap them in a kill zone as they arrive into the Milky Way, as they seem to have the galaxy surrounded and can even emerge from below the galactic plane. So to actually be able to defeat the Nids, we've got to have something that can reliably take them out wherever they appear. The first solution I want to discuss is the Tau bioweapon that was used to rapidly wipe out an entire splinter fleet. Commander Farsight's homeworld came under attack by the Nids, and it's clear that they didn't have the military might to resist. So their Earth-cast scientists, some of the best in the galaxy due to having no Tau Empire restrictions, got to work on a theoretical bioweapon that would cause mass breakdown of biomass. Farsight held the line as long as he could before his forces had to retreat and the
But what's to say they haven't already adapted to that weapon?
Bioweapon and injected into themselves. The Nids ate their asses, and then the entire fleet rapidly broke down and died, the bioweapon being absorbed by the entire fleet. Imagine if this had been done to an entire hive fleet, not just a splinter. Now, unfortunately, the scientists were killed and all their research destroyed, on top of the fact that the hive mind is highly adaptable and would likely make the Nids immune to this specific bioweapon from then on, but if another one was made that couldn't be adapted to, all we would need to do is inject a few guardsmen with it and let them defend the worlds against the Nids. It would be like Russian roulette for the Nids, who would be shitting themselves. We could even make a vaccine that was widespread, that triggered the bioweapon when it came into contact with Tyranid genetics, meaning the Nids could literally
so that means the Imperium has to work together with the Tau.
Fleets. In a similar vein to this, the Tyranids are vulnerable to Nurglite Chaos Plagues. They tried to eat a Nurglite world once and it ended horrifically for the Tyranids. So if Nurgle is able to cook up some Tyranid plagues, that could go a very long way in stemming the tide and knocking the Nids down. Sure, the Nids would adapt and become immune, but Nurgle can always create new plagues. Each time the Nids adapt to something, they require ever so slightly more effort and biomass to create. So if they have to fortify their immune system against a shitload of god plagues, then they would have less overall troops, so it is a bit of a double whammy. The issue would be getting Nurgle to leave everyone else alone and focus on the Nids, which he won't do as the Nids are extremely hardy and difficult to infect, so he gets a lot more bang for buck infecting humans. Speaking of getting Nurgle to be a team player, if all of the factions of 40k united against the Nids, they really wouldn't stand a chance. The galaxy has managed to repel and beat countless Nid invasions, all while taking them on as warring divided factions. The few times where the Imperium and Tau, or Imperium and other Xenos have teamed up against the Nids, it's been an absolute dumpster. There are examples in the lore of how hard the Tyranids get fucked whenever two different factions unite against them, as they are unable to adapt to both enemies at the same time. For example, when the Imperium and the Tau united, the Nids couldn't adapt to resist both plasma as well as laser as well as ballistic weapons, combined with the two contrasting strategies, so they were torn to shreds. Likewise, when the Orcs and Imperium teamed up against the Nids, the Tyranids couldn't handle the way the Imperium would soften them up from afar with artillery, whilst the Orcs charged in and crushed them. So you take these examples and scale them up to the galaxy, making a team effort, and every Nid fleet that would appear would be annihilated with very few losses. The obvious issue is that getting the entire galaxy to make peace and focus on just the Nids would be harder than picking up a supermodel by showing her your Warhammer collection, but if they did, they wouldn't need fancy weapons to deal with the threat. Speaking of fancy weapons, would you...
So maybe you can get a few armies to work together at least. You know, I can see Tau and Eldar and Imperium working together. You know, everybody else probably not, but you know, if you can get at least a couple armies to work together, that'd be a good start.
Do actually have some that make the Tyranids eat shit, or we did until some fuckwit decided to destroy the recipe on how to make it. It's called Phosphex, and it's up there with the most horrific weapons in all of 40k. It's like death gas mixed with napalm that didn't need oxygen to burn and would actively follow movement, so running away from it would make it chase you. It was used a fair bit during the Horus Heresy, with some worlds getting exterminatus and completely uninhabitable for thousands of years due to widespread Foxfest bombing. This was quite literally the perfect anti-Tyranid weapon. Even just using a few of these and the Nid biomass would be the perfect conduit for it to spread. It was also entirely impossible to adapt to, unless the Nids wanted to spend 90% of their biomass making extremely heat-proof warriors. I mean, even then it probably still wouldn't be enough. However, prior to the arrival of the Nids, a tech priest saw Phosphex as so horrific that he destroyed the means to create more, meaning this scant remaining Phosphex is all we have left, so can't really be relied upon as a way to permanently deal with the Nid threat. If they figured out how to remake it though, the Nids would be fucked. Like if you just dropped a Phosphex bomb on a Nid ship in space, it would probably burn the entire thing. A more wholesome method of beating, or at least stalemating the Tyranids, which is a win in itself to be honest, is terraforming lost worlds. The Tyranids only eat the biosphere, leaving most of the planet intact. The Mechanicus recently figured out that a full restoration of a Tyranid-consumed planet was not only pretty easy, but actually wouldn't take that long. So the Nids could be stalemated by the constant terraforming of consumed worlds. Obviously this isn't the best solution, but sometimes the best solution isn't available. These next ideas are a bit more on the spicy end, so I hope you have your milk ready. The Hive Mind is a psychic creature that needs the warp. It can be interacted with, attacked and potentially even killed. When the Great Rift opened, the psychic backlash actually knocked out the hive mind for a bit and required it to do a hard reboot. During this time, the Tyranid armies fell into disarray and either attacked each other or were easy pickings for the other races. A Tyranid without a link to the hive mind is just a dangerous animal, as if an army of wolves were fighting the United States military. So psychically attacking the hive mind to knock it out before key engagements, or even kill it, would be a great solution. Methods include doing crazy shit with the Orc War, using strange old one Xeno devices that blast the warp in certain areas, reverse engineering of
because they would have no strategy anymore.
Shit, or more reliably, the Silent King expands the Pariah Nexus, creating a null zone that the Tyranids cannot enter without going feral. Sure, the hive mind could adapt and create super powerful synapse creatures that can control a Tyranid force and act as a mini hive mind, but the Necrons already slapped the Nids pretty hard, so having to go in at a disadvantage wouldn't go so well for them. If the Necrons expanded the Pariah Nexus to nullify the entire galaxy, then the Nids would barely be able to enter at all, as well as the fact that the flesh and blood races would die off, starving the Nids. If the Necrons achieved galaxy-wide warp nullification, the Nids would be forced to give up on the Milky Way and go elsewhere. Another more direct route would be for the Emperor to ascend to become the Dark King, the Chaos God of Ruin, and direct his might towards the hive mind. The Dark King was said to be more powerful than even the Chaos Gods, and would have wiped the galaxy clean of life. So directing the power of the hive mind would mean that the Dark King could probably most likely just kill the Tyranid's soul, leaving countless Tyranids feral and without a means of reproducing in mass or coordinating. Their fleets would drift apart or tear each other to shreds. Now the drawbacks here are pretty obvious. The Dark King would now exist, and he isn't a very friendly guy. So this would be a bye-bye galaxy moment. But hey, the video is entitled Can the Tyranids be beaten, and everyone else survives and sings Kumbaya. It's all just about beating the bugs at all costs. The most boring answer, which is also what the galaxy is currently doing anyways, is to fight long and fight hard against overwhelming odds until either the Nids see the galaxy as a biomass bin and will be better off elsewhere, or if you're lucky, the Tyranids aren't this massive mega force, and the Nids in the Milky Way represent most of the Tyranid strength, in which case just fighting on should eventually result in victory. After all, each Tyrannic war has ended in the near extinction of the Nids, who are only able to rally due to the new hive fleets arriving. To be honest, a true victory of the Nids would just be a combo of everything. A Tau bioweapon here, a Nurgle-like plague there, a galactic bug spray STC gets rediscovered, the Eldar and Necrons team up for once. It'll be a lot of awesome war moments sprinkled throughout 40k that will keep the Nids at bay. The reality is that the Nids can't actually lose so as long as 40k exists or the Tyranid range exists. Just like how the Nids can't win because that would be turbo boring and also bring 40k to an end. But plot armor and business aside, there is a shitload of ways the Tyranids could be permanently defeated, easily contained, or stalemated. The issue is that most of them require people to pull their heads out of their own asses, which in 40k isn't really possible. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Xenonid Black Terror, or really any of the major minis. Xenonid Black Terror is fucking dope though. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more Xenonid content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Okay, so there we go. Can the Tyranids actually be defeated? Apparently, yes. In a few different ways. But obviously the problem is, you know, people actually, like you said, pulling their heads out of their asses. You know, Nurgle could do it with all their, you know, with all the Nurgle diseases and stuff like that, but, you know, we'd have to stop going after everybody else and focus on Tyranids, but, you know, that won't happen. Yeah, the Necrons with the Pariah Nexus. Yeah, I mean, so there is a whole bunch of different ways. Even working together, you know, could do it. You know, like he was saying, when the Imperium and the Orcs teamed up, you know, Tyranids had a hard time because the Imperium was blasting them from afar while the Orcs were running in and beating them. So it was kind of like, whoa, how do I adjust to this strategy now? You know, I could deploy these for the long range, but then those things will get taken out by the Orcs that are, you know, running in melee. Like, how do I, you know, strategize against this? You know, so yeah, you know, the Tau weapon, if they could ever make it again, you know, but I mean, not like it's ever gonna, you know, happen. Like you said, you know, you can't have the Tyranids win because that's the end of 40k. Can't really have the Tyranids lose either because, you know, you can't really remove a full race from, you know, a game. You know, people would be pissed. You know, imagine spending thousands of dollars on a Tyranid army only to be like, so the Tyranids are gone. Oh well, you know, so I don't know, it's still a very interesting thing. I think it would be kind of cool to see some sort of, I don't know, massive Tyranid invasion that, you know, does some serious damage, but, you know, doesn't fully succeed. You know, Tyranids are still around, but, you know, heavy losses. You know, maybe something like the level of the Horus Heresy, but like a Tyranid style invasion. That'd be kind of interesting. I don't know. But anyways, there we go. There's the video. Very interesting. Can the Tyranids actually be defeated? Yes, apparently they can. A few different ways if, you know, if things worked out. But anyways, there we go. So there's the video. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think about Tyranid invasion, stuff like that? Do you think what is currently in the galaxy right now, is that the full main force? Or is there more out there that we don't know about? Let me know. So anyways, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. And other than that, you know, if you got any videos you want me to check out, let me know down below in the comment section, and I'd love to do a video on it. Other than that, stick around. More videos are on the way, and I will see you guys next time.